Okay, so welcome back to the charity build for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So last video we just threw that exhaust on. The goal this weekend is to get this thing up and running, so thought I'd jump in tonight and get some bits and pieces on it, so make us a bit closer tomorrow. So we're going to put the inlet manifold and the carby on it. So here's one I've got here now. This is an online carby. It's not the original. I know this one runs. It's sort of like a spare one I have around the shop. So I have an original one over in the other bench. I'll probably do a video on rebuilding that. I've got a rebuild kit for the original carby, so I will do that one. But when I'm testing a motor, I just want it to, I don't want anything to stop it running, so I go with one that I know does run. This is, as I say, it's a test one, so there's nothing wrong with it, but I'd like to put the original one on if I can. So just try and get a bit better light for you. Just one thing to make sure when you're doing these is that you put this plastic spacer on it. So there'll be an O-ring, rubber O-ring on the carby. There'll be this plastic spacer, and it has a rubber O-ring that goes onto the manifold. And then on this side, I'll clean that up a bit more. There's an O-ring that sits inside there. And that's it there. So I'll clean that up. I'll put that in before we throw that on. And I like to put the carby on the manifold before we throw it on, just because it's a bit easier than trying to do it when it's there. That's the two bolts with 8mm heads that hold the inlet manifold down. So I'll give them a quick polish, clean up that, put the O-ring in, and I'll be back. Alright, so bump you around too much. So I've cleaned that up and put the O-ring on it. I've got the bolts. So you're just got to make sure that when you do this that you don't dislodge that O-ring while you're putting it on. It's important that all those O-rings are in place because you don't want an air leak. Well, obviously you won't be able to tune the bike properly, and you'll get inconsistent tuning basically, so or poor performance, poor running. So make sure that all those O-rings, and make sure that they're not really shaking you around while I'm tying that up. Make sure that they're not hardened by heat. Sometimes I'll go quite hard from the heat of the bike over the years, and they won't seal properly. So just check them. You know, if you're ever doing any work on a Postie, I'd just recommend buying a gasket kit. And then you buy it, it's not expensive. And then anything that you do on the bike, O-rings or anything you need to fix up along the way, you can. And just replace it as you go. Alright. Tighten that up all the way, and then I'll show you how to connect up the throttle cable to the top of the cab. Alright, so I'm going to hook up the throttle cable. So this is one that come with it was on, I don't know what carby this one come off, so I always try and keep these together with the carbies so that they're obviously bent to go with. So I'll take this off. So basically the trick with that is, probably should have gone over a bit more. I'll do it when we put the new one on. So we unscrew it from the top. I'm just going to make sure that we keep this little rubber seal in there, that doesn't go. Now, if you've got smaller fingers than me, you might be able to do this a bit easier, but the plunger gets stuck in there. Give me a sec. I've actually got a spring off a bigger carby, a 140 or 125 carby, that fits in that perfect, so it's great for pulling that out when they're stuck in there. So the cable. Well, the first things first, we're going to run the cable through here. So run it through. This one's running freely. If you got any concerns about it, put some lubrication down there. If you want to use silicone spray or something, it's not going to clog up and make it worse in the future. Put your spring on, compress the spring, and then there's a little locator there that goes in, cable goes inside, spring goes inside, so like that. So if I twist the throttle, that pulls that. Now inside the barrel here, there's a slot down one side and on the other side. You can see it that the slot that goes all the way is higher, and that's this side, so it will only really go one way. Put that in so it slides all the way down. Again, this one's not been too bad, but sometimes this seal will drop down and get wrapped around your spring and be a bit of a pain, but this one's staying up there, so get him down. Just tighten that up. Normally have that sort of facing the direction up the tube, because this will sit under the plastic cover. Make sure when I hit my throttle it's nice and free, and there's no friction there. Now, I don't know if you can see it at an angle, but there's the fuel taps there, so we can run those fuel hoses over. And I'll have to sort of route them around. They sort of come around through here and hook in. They have little wire clips on them. I sometimes use a bit of wire, and I'll twist it on like a tyre wire, concrete reinforcement tyre wire, and just twist that on, and that just holds it on. It's just, I suppose it's easy if you're in the shop, like in your workshop, to cut it off and replace it, but I suppose on the road it might be a bit more difficult. So you can put standard screw hose clamps on it, or you can just do those wire clips that come with it originally, or you can twist the other stuff on. It does need something on it just to seal it a bit better than the hose itself. Alright, I'll hook them up. Alright, so those fuel hoses are just run through there, hooked on now, so I'll even make sure the fuel tap's off. But I haven't connected them up, so the reason for that is I didn't mark which one was a reserve and which one was a normal fuel hose out of the tank. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it with a little fuel, and whichever one it comes out of is my reserve, and then I can hook it up accordingly to this, so that I've got the reserve and the main fuel tap in the right spot. These covers here, they're just left off, left them loose for now. So because I've done a bit of work to the engine, and when I got it I didn't know exactly. I ran it and the gearbox and everything was fine, the bottom end was nice and smooth and quiet, but there was a bit of rattling around the top. So I've done the cam chain, I've done the new piston and cylinder. So when I get it going, there's a few more things I'd like to do to it. So one of them would be the valves. So adjusting the valves on it. So what I'll do is I'll fire it up basically. If there's no crazy noises, I'll let it run for a little bit. I'll make sure that my cam chain is adjusted up to the correct tension once I sort of reach an operating temperature, and I'll just for any noises or anything like that through acceleration. I've got any valve noises, then I can just adjust my valves up and get them right, and hopefully, well, I'm sure it will, because it's had all the work done. It would be a nice, smooth running, quiet engine. So, yeah, really looking forward to that. So, it's getting pretty late down the shed tonight, but I'll edit these and put them out tomorrow. But one last thing we'll do, and just a quickie, I'll do in the next video. I'll just put the front sprocket on, just so we can you can see how to do that, and then we'll be good. Other thing with the carburettor, sorry, is this is the drain pipe. I normally run that down with these guys, nice and neat and under there. So I find there's just enough room in that clip to run it down. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that one. That just fitting the carby up. As I said, I've just got one of those foam pod filters. I'll put that on for now, just so we can get it running. I'd like to get it running and do all the, tuning and stuff before I put everything back together. Just so that if I have to take anything out, I'm not removing everything to get to it. Okay, cheers for that. Subscribe if you like them, and we're getting closer to someone having a beautiful little bike. Bye.